Radiant Black, issue number 25 from Image Comics. So, we get the answer to who's going to become the Radiant in this. For anyone unfamiliar, Marshall and Nathan both had the Radiant power at some point, and then after a while they were actually sharing the power, but now there's some kind of glitch, and one of them has to become Radiant permanently, and the other one can no longer become Radiant Black. And so there was actually a poll that was done where you can either vote for Team Marshall or Team Nathan, and then the winner would become the new Radiants. And in here, we get the answer to who won. So let's jump right into the story. So we start off with the flashback where we have Nathan in high school, I believe. And once again, like, we see how obsessed he is with writing. And none of that's really all that important. Let's just cut right to the more important part where we see Marshall getting beaten up by some jock who's hitting him in the face with a thick book. And the guy basically, after he beats up Marshall, he says, "Don't start anything if you can't finish." And he starts to walk away. When Marshall reaches into his locker, pulls out a bottle and smashes it over the back of the guy's head. And that basically sends him to juvie. And the reason for all this is to set up how bad of a past Marshall had, how he basically kind of fell, I don't want to say fell into the wrong crowd because he's a loner, but how he fell onto the wrong path. And we even see Nathan talking with his dad, and Nathan is basically like, he used to be best friends with Marshall, but they drifted apart. They haven't spent any time near, with each other for like a year or two. And his dad's trying to get him to make up with Marshall and become friends again because he knows how close of friends that they used to be. And Nathan basically thinks that people can't change, that you can change, your appearance changes as you get older, but the fundamental parts of you don't change. You stay the same person regardless. And his dad's like, "I don't think that's true." I guess it's just to kind of show that even as an adult, Nathan still doesn't believe that Marshall has changed from the reckless youth that he used to be. And so, we cut to the present day where they are chilling out in what they refer to as Marshall's uncle's house, but it's actually the house of one of the weapons dealers, I believe. Because they actually have a spaceship underneath the barn. But yeah, they're staying inside this farm in the middle of nowhere. And they're trying to discuss which one of them should be the Radiants. And then Wendell does some stuff. I'm going to skip Wendell's stuff because I don't want to spoil everything in this. I think you should go read it yourself. So I'm just going to skip a lot of that. The main point of this is that the two still haven't decided which one of them should be Radiant Black. They are still kind of arguing like which one should be which. And that's when they all get sent to existence, where they all happen to be naked. That's got to be weird. Like, every time when you got to see your teammates in existence, you all got to be fully nude. But yeah, they're there. The Saber dude, whose name I forgot, I think it was number 1 was his name, is there. And basically says, "Hey, which one of you is going to be the Radiant?" And they're like, "We don't know. We haven't decided yet." And he's like, "There's no time to decide. You have to pick now." And then we get a lore dump where we find out about the history of the Radiants and how they came to be, and basically how the Colossus, which are the giant robots, they tend the Garden of Truth in existence, but they lost their physical forms, and so they were able to communicate with oracles, and they empowered those oracles with the Radiants, and those oracles became the 4 messengers, and eventually became the 4 Radiants. And out of them, Radiant Black was the most loved. He was like the right hand of the leader, who doesn't really have a name. He's just called Premier. And how much you want to bet that the loser of this is going to end up becoming Premier? But yeah, eventually they realize hey, things are coming to a head. You have to pick now. Who's it going to be? And so they start discussing which one of them should be the Radiant. And Marshall immediately just jumps in with, "I should be Radiant Black." And I was like, yes, I like this. I like the fact that he's like taking charge, because I was kind of worried that it was gonna end up being like, oh no no you should do it, no 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 you should do it. I'm glad with the fact that Marshall's like, nah, I should do it. I'm a better fighter than you. I know how to actually use the powers. Like, you haven't even been able to activate God mode yet, and I have. Also, your heart's not in this. Like, you still want to be a writer in LA. This is all I have. I can actually prove myself. It's like, I feel like I've been waiting my whole life for some kind of chance, some kind of opportunity to change my life for the better, to prove that I'm not just some loser. And this is it. So I should be Radiant Black, because my heart is in this and yours isn't. And coming back to the flashback, Nathan believes that Marshall hasn't really changed, that he's still that same reckless kid who ended up in juvie all those years ago. And he doesn't believe that he's mature enough to handle the responsibility of being Radiant Black. But eventually, Marshall ends up winning the argument, and Marshall becomes Radiant Black. So there you go. For anyone who's wondering which one became Radiant Black, it's Marshall. Marshall becomes Radiant Black, and I am so freaking glad that that's the case. I actually voted in the polls, and of course I voted Team Marshall. I mean, why wouldn't I? Because I find Nathan just absolutely boring of a character. But I'm glad that they actually gave reason for, like, in-universe reason for why Marshall should be the Radiant Black. And it's stuff that I've been saying for years. Like, if you go back and watch all my previous videos, every time when there's a discussion between who should be the Radiant Black, who should be more deserving, I always said Marshall, because Marshall is actually in. Like, he's all in when it comes to being a superhero. He's the one who's actually out there trying. When Nathan had the powers, all Nathan could focus on was his writing. Like, even like in the very beginning, we had an entire chapter just dedicated to Nathan having writer's block and trying to overcome it. Like, even when he had the powers, all he could focus on was being a screenwriter in LA. Meanwhile, Marshall went all in. Like, that's all he focused on. His whole life basically revolved around the Radiant powers in some way. So I always was Team Marshall. I also just find him more of an interesting character. I find, like I said, I find Nathan boring. He's like a Boy Scout character, but not a good Boy Scout character. Like, he's not like Captain America. He's not like Superman. He's just boring. He's bland. He doesn't seem to really care too much about, like, his focus doesn't seem to be on being a superhero. His focus seems to be on just getting his career jump-started. Whereas Marshall, like, he has flaws, and I like that in a character. I like to see character have flaws and overcome those flaws. It gives him more of a dynamic. Like, Marshall isn't boring because of all the flaws that he has that he's trying to overcome. And also, again, like I mentioned, it's just the fact that he's going all in on this. So yeah, I'm glad that Marshall is a new Radiant Black. However, I don't think that's the end of Nathan. And I don't mean the end of Nathan in this story. Obviously, Nathan's not going anywhere. But I don't think that's the end of Nathan not having powers. While I believe that Marshall is going to remain Radiant Black, I have a huge feeling that Nathan is going to end up becoming the Premier. He's going to end up becoming the leader of the Radiants. And I hope that's not the case, because Nathan is a boring ass character. I cannot see him as the leader of the group. Like, no way. That would suck. Not only would that suck, but that would seem like a cop out. That would seem like you're just kind of you cheapen the poll. The poll should mean something. The poll that you had on who should be Radiant Black, it shouldn't just be, okay, who should be Radiant Black, because secretly whoever doesn't win is going to end up becoming the Premier anyway, so it doesn't matter. No. Whoever won the poll gets the Radiant power. Whoever lost the poll does not get any powers. They can still remain the story, but they can be like the sidekick. They can be the like the Oracle to Radiant's Batman, where they're the ones who kind of help try to gather information. They help try to keep the Radiant's secret identity and keep his civilian life going, something like that. But because Marshall won, I do not think Nathan should gain any kind of powers at all. Though I have a feeling that with the introduction to this Premier, that they're basically going to set up where Nathan is going to get the Premier abilities, and he's going to become the Premier Radiant and lead the other Radiants. And God, I hope that's not the case. But I guess we'll find out. So yeah, there you go. There's Radiant Black, issue number 25. Who became the Radiants? Marshall. Marshall is now officially Radiant, and unless they end up lying to us in this issue, he's going to permanently remain radiant, because that's what the robot tells us. The robot tells us, for the duration of your life, Marshall, you are now part of existence. So I'm hoping this isn't like, oh, it's only for the duration of Marshall's life. So if we kill him temporarily, then he is no longer part of existence, and then Nathan can get the powers. I hope they don't try to do anything like that. Like, Marshall won fair and square. He should keep the powers. Nathan lost fair and square. Nathan should not get any powers. That's how I believe it should be. That's not how I think it's going to go, though. But I guess we'll see. But yeah, in regards to the actual issue itself, it was interesting. It's not a lot of action or anything, but a lot of things kicking off, which makes sense because this issue, while it is issue number 25, on the very cover, it says The Catalyst War Part 1, and that's kind of what it feels like. It feels like the start of an arc where we might not have like a lot of action or anything, but we have a lot of stuff falling into place. There's a lot going on with Wendell, for example, which I haven't shared and I'm not going to share because I want you to go get the issue yourself so you can read it. I do recommend this issue. This is good. I liked it. Here's the thing. I like this issue despite the fact that it was basically just a lot of talking and lore dump. And I'm not saying I liked it just because Marshall won, even though that does help. But I like just what it seems like this issue is building up towards. So the fact that they were able to make someone like me, who, if you've watched other reviews that I've done, not just on rating, but just on other stuff, I'm someone who, like, I love my action scenes when it comes to comics. Like, I love action in general. And when I read comics, I don't want to read a lot of just people sitting down talking. Like, that a comic should be just crazy, out there stuff that maybe you can't do with movies or TV shows without huge budgets. Just go nuts. Be imaginative. So when you just see people sitting down talking and eating food, that stuff is just boring. Like, why would you do that in a comic? So the fact that they did something like that, not eating food, but just a lot of talking, a lot of lore dump, not so much action, but I was still engaged. Yeah, I got to give it props. And so, yeah, I've been kind of, like, when it comes to Radiant Black, anyone who's followed this channel from the first issue that I reviewed, you will know that I don't want to say I have a love-hate relationship with it, but I have I find it flawed, but enjoyable for the most part. Like, I absolutely despised the first few chapters. Then there were chapters that I absolutely loved. Then there were chapters I found just absolutely boring. And it kind of went up and down on how I felt about the series in general, where I was like, some parts are really good, some parts are just really terrible. Right now, this is really good. So hopefully it continues to go up. I enjoyed what I read. I enjoyed what it seems like they're going to be setting up towards. I'm interested to see how this Catalyst War is going to play out, what's going to happen with Wendell, how they're going to, go with the fact that Marshall is now Radiant Black. What's that going to mean to the Radiants? What's that going to mean to Nathan? Hopefully they don't give Nathan some other kind of powers as a constellation prize. So I guess we'll see. There you go, though. There's Radiant Black issue number 25. Go check it out. I recommend it. It was good. Hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. So what'd you guys think of that video? I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe. Hit that bell for a notification. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And if you didn't enjoy the video, thank you for watching it this far. And I hope the next video is more to your liking. Feel free to check out the playlist that you guys see. And I hope to see you guys next time. Later.